Elon Musk slumped in his chair, staring out the vast window of his Tesla office in California. The city shimmered below, a restless grid of lights piercing the night, but his thoughts drifted far from the chaos. It was late, too late for anyone sane to still be working. His phone buzzed sharply. A text from an engineer lit up. Ever wonder how people would treat you if they didn't know you? He froze, fingers hovering. Well, damn, he muttered, voice rough in the stillness. What would they do? That question sank deep, igniting a restless spark. He stood, pacing the sleek office, sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. What if he ditched the fame, the billions, the spotlight? They'd see nothing, he whispered, pausing at the glass. His reflection loomed, a giant, untouchable. But what if that man vanished? Atlanta, he said abruptly, voice firm. Buckhead. A wealthy slice of the South, obsessed with status. The Velvet Room, he added, recalling the upscale restaurant's reputation, elegant, exclusive, unforgiving. That's the place. Next morning, he rang Marcus, his go-to-Hollywood makeup artist. Need a disguise. Atlanta. Tomorrow, he said, tone clipped. Marcus laughed. You're crazy. What's the look? Elon's lips twitched. Homeless. Completely invisible. 24 hours later, they huddled in a grimy Atlanta hotel room. Marcus unpacked. A scruffy wig, a thrift store jacket, coarse, smelling of dust, ripped jeans, and sneakers with soles flapping loose. You sure? Marcus asked, brushing fake dirt across Elon's cheeks. Dead sure, he replied, tugging on the wig. He turned to the cracked mirror. The billionaire was gone. Holy hell, he breathed, touching the glass. I'm a ghost. What's the move? Marcus pressed, arms crossed. Walk into the Velvet Room. See what happens, Elon said, slinging a tattered backpack over his shoulder. His heart pounded, not fear, just pure adrenaline. You're nuts, Marcus called as Elon reached the door. Maybe, he shot back, hand on the knob. But I need answers. Is kindness real when there's nothing to gain? He stepped out, the doors click cutting the quiet. Atlanta thrummed outside, horns blaring, air thick with humidity. He climbed into a dented rental sedan, engine rattling as he drove toward Buckhead. The streets morphed from rough to pristine, condos towering over manicured lawns. He parked a block from the Velvet Room, its sleek facade glowing under a cursive sign. Here we go, he murmured, stepping into the cool Georgia night. His sneakers scraped the pavement, loud in his ears. The doorman, hulking, suited, narrowed his eyes. Lost, pal? He barked. Elon kept his voice low, steady. Just here to eat. The guy scoffed. Move along. Elon patted his pocket, a crumpled 20 rustling. Got cash. A beat. Your call, the doorman growled, stepping aside. Elon pushed through the heavy glass doors, pulse hammering. The Velvet Room loomed ahead, rich, cold, ready to judge. What would they see? Trash? Trouble? He squared his shoulders, the disguise heavy. Time to find out. Elon Musk stepped into the Velvet Room, the heavy glass doors whispering shut behind him. A wave of warm air hit him, laced with the scent of roasted garlic and expensive perfume. Crystal chandeliers dangled overhead, casting golden light across polished mahogany tables. The murmur of posh voices mingled with the clink of wine glasses, Buckhead's elite at play. He adjusted the tattered backpack on his shoulder, his sneakers scuffing the pristine hardwood floor. Every sound felt loud, too loud. Eyes flicked his way, quick, sharp, judgmental. Excuse me, a voice snapped, crisp and cold. James Carter, the manager, loomed ahead, his tailored suit screaming authority. His gray eyes narrowed, raking over Elon's ragged jacket and dirt-smudged face. Can I help you? The words dripped with doubt, not kindness. Elon met his gaze, keeping his tone soft. Yeah, I'd like a table. James blinked, then forced a tight smile. I'm sorry, sir, he said, emphasis mocking. We're fully booked tonight. Elon glanced past him. Half a dozen tables sat empty, their white linens untouched. Looks open to me, he replied, voice steady. James's smile faltered. Look, buddy, he said, stepping closer. This isn't the soup kitchen. Why don't you? He stopped mid-sentence as a figure emerged from behind the bar. I've got this, James. Lily Harper called, her voice bright but firm. She strode over, apron tied tight, her brown ponytail swaying. Young, maybe 25, with warm hazel eyes that didn't flinch at Elon's appearance. I'll seat him, she insisted, brushing past James's scowl. Follow me, she said to Elon, offering a small, genuine smile. He trailed her to a tiny table near the bar, not prime real estate, but it was something. Thanks, he murmured, easing into the chair. The backpack thudded against the floor. Lily set a menu down, her fingers lingering a moment. "No problem. Take your time, okay?" she said, then darted off. Elon exhaled, scanning the room. The stares hadn't stopped. At a nearby table, Marjorie Evans, 60-something, draped in a fur stole, leaned toward her companion, a silver-haired man in a blazer. "Who let that in here?" she hissed, loud enough to carry. Her friend smirked. "Probably wandered in off Peachtree Street." Across the room, Darius Jackson polished a glass behind the bar, his dark eyes twinkling with mischief. "Y'all need to chill," he called out, voice smooth as bourbon. "Man's just trying to eat." Marjorie shot him a glare. "Mind your business, Darius," she snapped. He grinned, unfazed, and tossed Elon a quick wink. "You good, bro?" he asked, low enough for only Elon to hear. "Yeah," Elon replied, nodding faintly. "Appreciate it." The menu trembled slightly in his hands, not from nerves, but from the weight of every glance pinning him down. He caught snippets of whispers. "Disgusting," one woman muttered, sipping her martini. "Doesn't he know where he is?" a man added, adjusting his cufflinks. James hovered near the hostess stand, arms crossed, watching like a hawk. Elon's jaw tightened. This was it, the test unfolding in real time. How deep did their masks go? Lily returned, notepad in hand. "Decided yet?" she asked, her tone warm despite the tension thickening the air. "Soup," Elon said simply. "Pumpkin. And some bread." She scribbled it down, then paused. "You sure that's all?" Her eyes searched his, curious, not pitying. "That's all," he confirmed. She nodded. "Coming right up," she said, then hurried off. Elon leaned back, the chair creaking under him. His gaze drifted to Darius, who was shaking a cocktail shaker with flair. "Rough crowd tonight," Darius muttered, catching Elon's eye. "Don't let him get to you." But they were getting to him, not in a way that shook him, but in a way that sharpened his focus. Marjorie's voice cut through again. "James," she barked, waving a manicured hand. "Do something about this intrusion." James stiffened, then strode toward Elon's table, his polished shoes clicking ominously. "Sir," he began, voice low but edged, "I'm gonna need you to—" Lily appeared, cutting him off. "His order's in, James," she said sharply. "He's a paying customer. Back off." James's face reddened, but he retreated, muttering under his breath. Elon watched it all, the disdain, the defense, the dance of power. His soup hadn't even arrived, and already the room crackled with tension. Marjorie glared daggers. Darius smirked behind the bar. Lily moved with quiet defiance. "And James?" He lingered, plotting. Elon's lips twitched, a faint smile breaking through. This was just the beginning. What came next would light the match, and he couldn't wait to see it burn. Elon Musk sat hunched over the small table, the murmur of the velvet room wrapping around him like a tightening noose. The air buzzed with tension, thick with the scent of truffle oil and disdain. His pumpkin soup arrived, steaming in a white porcelain bowl, delivered by Lily Harper with a quiet grace that cut through the room's hostility. "Here you go," she said, setting it down gently, her hazel eyes flicking to his. "Enjoy." He nodded, voice low. "Thanks, Lily." She hesitated, then offered a faint smile before slipping away, her apron brushing the edge of his chair. He spooned the soup slowly, savoring the warmth, but his focus stayed razor-sharp on the room. The stares hadn't softened, every glance a silent jab. Marjorie Evans, perched at her table like a queen on a throne, dabbed her lips with a napkin and leaned toward her companion. "This is outrageous," she said, her voice carrying like a bell. "James should have thrown him out by now." Her friend, a wiry man with a Rolex glinting, chuckled darkly. "Probably hasn't bathed in a month," he muttered, loud enough for Elon to hear. Elon kept his head down, the wig itching against his scalp, but his ears caught every word. Darius Jackson leaned against the bar, shaking his head as he polished a tumbler. "Y'all are something else," he called out, his tone playful but edged. "Man's eating soup, not robbing the place." Marjorie whipped around, her first stole slipping slightly. "Stay out of this, Darius," she snapped, her southern drawl sharpening. "You don't get paid to defend trash." Darius grinned, unbowed. "Nah, I get paid to pour drinks and watch the show," he shot back, tossing Elon a quick nod. "Hang in there, man." The soup cooled in Elon's bowl, but the heat in the room spiked. James Carter paced near the hostess stand, his polished shoes clicking like a countdown. He caught Marjorie's eye, then marched over, his face a mask of barely contained irritation. "Sir," he said, looming over Elon's table, "you're upsetting our guests. I need you to finish up, fast." Elon looked up, spoon paused midair. I'm not done, he replied, calm but firm. James's jaw twitched. You're done when I say you are, he hissed, voice low enough to dodge the crowd's ears. Lily appeared like a storm breaking, tray in hand, her cheeks flushed. Back off, James, she said, stepping between them. He's not hurting anyone. James spun on her, eyes blazing. You don't call the shots here, Lily, he barked. This isn't a charity. She squared her shoulders, unflinching. No, it's a restaurant. And he's a customer. Deal with it. The room hushed for a split second, every head turning. Marjorie gasped, clutching her pearls. The nerve, she exclaimed, loud and theatrical. James, fire her this instant. Elon set his spoon down, the clink echoing in the stillness. He watched Lily hold her ground, a flicker of admiration sparking in his chest. She wasn't just kind, she was fearless. Darius let out a low whistle from the bar. Girl's got guts, he muttered, pouring a shot he didn't serve. The tension coiled tighter, a spring ready to snap. Elon's bread sat untouched, but he barely noticed. His experiment was peeling back layers, ugly, raw, real. Marjorie stood abruptly, her chair scraping the floor with a screech. I've had enough, she declared, storming toward James. This vagrant is ruining my evening. She jabbed a finger at Elon, close enough for him to smell her floral perfume. Do your job, James, or I'm speaking to the owner. James paled, caught between her fury and Lily's defiance. Ma'am, please, he stammered, hands raised. I'll handle it. He shot Elon a venomous look. Eat faster, he growled. Lily stepped closer to Elon, her voice dropping. You okay? She asked, soft but steady. He met her gaze, the first real connection in this sea of scorn. Yeah, he said, a faint smile tugging his lips. Thanks for the backup. She nodded, then turned to Marjorie. He's not the problem here, she said, loud enough for all to hear. Marjorie's face twisted, red with indignation. How dare you, she spat, voice trembling. You little. Enough. Darius boomed from the bar, slamming a glass down. Heads jerked his way. Y'all acting like he stole your damn silverware. Laughter rippled from a few tables, nervous, uncertain, but it broke the spell. Marjorie huffed, sitting back down, muttering curses. James retreated, seething. Lily lingered, her breath steadying. They're all talk, she whispered to Elon. Don't let him win. He dipped his bread in the soup, chewing slowly, the taste drowned out by the chaos. Every word, every glare fueled his quiet fire. This wasn't just a meal, it was a mirror, reflecting truths he'd come to see. The room pulsed with unrest, and he felt it building. Something big was coming. Soon. Elon Musk pushed his chair back, the legs scraping the hardwood with a jagged groan that sliced through the velvet room's tense hum. His soup bowl sat empty, crumbs of bread scattered like evidence of a battle fought and won. He stood slowly, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. Marjorie's venomous glare, James's simmering fury, Lily's quiet curiosity. The air crackled, heavy with unspoken accusations. He adjusted the tattered backpack on his shoulder, took a deep breath, and stepped into the center of the dining area. Showtime. Sir. James barked, storming forward, his polished shoes pounding the floor. You need to leave now. His voice trembled with authority, but Elon raised a hand, calm and commanding. Hold on, he said, loud enough to ripple through the chatter. The room froze. Darius leaned over the bar, eyebrows shooting up. Oh, this gon' be good, he muttered, gripping a shaker like a lifeline. Marjorie clutched her pearls, whispering to her companion. What's this fool doing? Lily set her tray down, stepping closer, her breath catching. Elon reached up, his fingers brushing the scruffy wig. With a slow, deliberate tug, he pulled it off, letting it dangle in his hand. Gasps punched the air. He wiped a sleeve across his face, smearing away the fake dirt, revealing the sharp jawline and piercing eyes the world knew too well. Elon Musk? A woman shrieked, her wine glass tipping. Marjorie's jaw dropped, her fur stole slipping to the floor with a soft thud. James stumbled back, face draining of color. No, no way, he stammered, hands shaking. Yeah, Elon said, his voice steady, cutting through the chaos. It's me. He scanned the room, letting the shock settle like dust after a blast. Tonight, I didn't come as the guy on your news feeds. I came as someone you'd never look twice at. Someone you'd toss aside. He paused, his gaze locking on Marjorie. And you did. She flinched, shrinking into her chair, her bravado gone. Whispers erupted, stunned, frantic, but he pressed on. I saw it all. The sneers. The whispers. Get him out, you said. He doesn't belong. Darius let out a loud laugh, slapping the bar. Told y'all he wasn't just some bum, he hollered, grinning wide. A few nervous chuckles followed, but most faces burned red with shame. James rubbed his temples, muttering, this can't be happening. Elon turned to him. You wanted me gone, James. Why? Because of this. He gestured to his ragged clothes, the torn jeans and flapping sneakers. That's all it took for you to decide I'm nothing. Then his eyes found Lily. She stood rooted, her hands clasped tight, hazel eyes wide with disbelief. But you, he said, softening. You saw something else. He stepped toward her, the room holding its breath. You didn't care what I looked like. You treated me like a person, not a problem. Lily blinked, her voice barely a whisper. I just did my job, she said shaky. Elon shook his head. No, you did more. You stood up when it was easier to walk away. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a crisp, white envelope. This is for you, Lily, he said, handing it to her. Her fingers trembled as she took it, peeling it open. Inside, a handwritten note and a check for $75,000. She read aloud, voice breaking. Lily, thank you for showing what kindness really means. Chase your dreams. The world needs you. Tears spilled down her cheeks, the check fluttering to the floor. Oh my God, she gasped, covering her mouth. The room exploded, murmurs, applause, a few sobs. Darius hooped. That's my girl. Elon turned back to the crowd, his tone firm. To the rest of you, this is your wake-up call. You judged me tonight, not knowing who I was. What about the ones who aren't me? The ones you pass every day? He pointed at Marjorie, who looked away, lips pursed. Kindness isn't a status symbol. It's a choice. She mumbled, I'm sorry, barely audible, her hands twisting her napkin. James stepped forward, voice weak. Mr. Musk, I didn't mean. Elon cut him off. Save it. Fix this place. Make it better. He glanced at Lily one last time, her tears glistening under the chandeliers. Don't lose that spark, he said, voice low. It's rare. She nodded, clutching the note to her chest. The room buzzed, guilt, awe, regret swirling together. Elon straightened, the weight of the disguise gone, replaced by something heavier, truth. He'd started a fire tonight, and it wasn't done burning. Not yet. The velvet room fell silent as Elon Musk's footsteps faded, the glass doors swinging shut with a soft thud. The chandeliers still glowed, casting light on a room forever changed. Lily Harper stood frozen, the envelope trembling in her hands, tears streaking her cheeks. The note, his note, pressed against her chest like a lifeline. Around her, the air hung heavy with guilt and awe. Marjorie Evans slumped in her chair, her fur stole crumpled on the floor, her voice a whisper. I didn't know, she said to no one, fingers twisting her napkin into knots. Her companion patted her hand, silent. James Carter cleared his throat, stepping forward, his usual swagger gone. Folks, he stammered, voice cracking. Let's get back to it. No one moved. Eyes darted, some to Lily, some to the floor. Darius Jackson broke the spell, slamming a glass on the bar. Man, that was wild. He laughed, loud and raw. Lily, you okay over there? She blinked, wiping her face with her sleeve. I think so, she said, voice shaky but growing stronger. This is unreal. She held up the check, $75,000, its ink bold against the white paper. A few gasps rippled through the crowd. Marjorie stood, wobbling slightly, and shuffled toward Lily. I owe you an apology, she said, her southern accent thick with regret. I was wrong. About him. About you. Lily met her gaze, steady now. It's not just about tonight, she replied, soft but firm. It's about every night. Every person. Marjorie nodded, eyes glistening, then turned away, muttering, You're right. Lord help me, you're right. She sank back into her seat, a shadow of the woman who'd stormed the room earlier. James approached Lily, hands in his pockets, head low. You did good, he said quietly, avoiding her eyes. I messed up. Big time. She tilted her head, studying him. Then fix it, James, she said, her tone sharp but kind. Make this place mean something. He swallowed hard, nodding. I will. Starting tomorrow, new rules. Everyone's welcome. A faint cheer rose from a corner table, hesitant but real. Darius grinned, raising a glass. That's what I'm talking about. Lily slipped into the kitchen, needing a moment. She leaned against the counter, rereading Elon's words. Chase your dreams. The world needs you. Her breath hitched. Culinary school, her dream since she was a kid peeling potatoes with her grandma, was hers now. But it wasn't enough. I can do more, she whispered, tucking the note into her apron. She'd cook for the folks on Peachtree Street, the one she passed every day, heads down, invisible. Kindness keeps going, she said to herself, a vow. Days later, the story exploded. Phones buzzed across Atlanta, hashtag Velvet Kindness trending as clips of that night went viral. Billionaire shocks Buckhead. Headlines screamed. Reporters swarmed the Velvet Room, begging Lily for interviews. She finally agreed, standing outside in her apron, the city skyline behind her. It wasn't about who he was, she told the cameras, voice steady. It's about who we all are. Everyone deserves a seat at the table. The crowd cheered, strangers clapping her on the back as she walked away, cheeks flushed. James kept his word. New signs went up. All are welcome. Staff training shifted, empathy first, appearances last. Regulars noticed, some grumbled, but most stayed. Marjorie returned a week later, quieter, leaving a handwritten note for Lily. You taught an old fool something new. Thank you. Lily smiled, tucking it beside Elon's. Darius took to teasing her nonstop. You're famous now, girl. He laughed, tossing her a towel one night. Don't forget us little people. She rolled her eyes. Never, she shot back, grinning. Months passed. Lily enrolled in culinary school, her tuition paid in full. Every Sunday, she set up a table downtown, hot soup, fresh bread, free for anyone hungry. Word spread, lines grew. One evening, as the sun dipped below Atlanta's skyline, she ladled stew for a man in a worn coat. This is good, he said, voice rough. Why you do it? She paused, spoon in hand. Because someone saw me when I felt small, she replied. Now it's my turn. He nodded, a flicker of warmth in his tired eyes. Elon caught wind of it later, in a rare quiet moment back in California. Smiling, he told a reporter, that's the ripple I wanted. One spark lights a fire. Lily didn't hear that, she didn't need to. Standing on that bustling street, steam rising from her pots, she felt it. The Velvet Room had been the stage, but this was the legacy. Kindness wasn't just a gift. It was a chain, unbroken, stretching far beyond that night.